What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the GFM podcast. Today, I got kind of a throwback from 2015. I'm going to go over my opinion and view on Cherry Bomb by Tyler, the Creator. Like I said, it came out in 2015. It's got 13 songs on it. It's 54 minutes and 10 seconds long. And this is probably Tyler's most controversial album from an artist perspective. Now, let me get this straight. I say from an artist perspective because it went against a lot of what he's made in the past. Very different direction than his previous album from 2013, Wolf. Definitely different than anything he made previously before that. This was a whole different direction for Tyler. Once again, I want to make sure I'm talking about artistically because lyrically he said way more controversial things in the past. But we're not going to talk about that right now. We're going to talk about Cherry Bomb. So like I said, Cherry Bomb came out in 2015. I have such good memories with this album. So I'm pretty sure he released this like a week after announcing it. But I remember I was sitting in my bedroom, about to go to bed. I had school the next day. And there's like I think it was not even Apple Music, but it was whatever. You could just download music off of like the App Store or like the music store. Just different. I have like a hard time of recollecting what that process was just because I have Spotify for so long now. But you could kind of pre-save songs that were coming out at midnight. And Tyler just announces these 2 songs are coming out at midnight. And I'm like, okay, so definitely an album coming out. And he releases them. And it wasn't my favorite Tyler, the Creator music. It was kind of shocking in a way to hear these melodies that he had come out with, and it was definitely a very different direction than previously what we were used to from Tyler, the Creator. Once again, this is coming off of Wolf, super successful album, going into songs like Deathcamp and Buffalo and Run. Just very different direction, very upbeat, kind of over the top in some cases with the instrumentals, kind of drowning you in the instrumental rather than being able to hear Tyler's voice on some of these songs. But let's get into the album here. I'm going to go through it, and then I'm going to tell you guys like probably my top 2 favorite songs on it, because I was going to do my top song, but there are 2 that I just really like, really like. So yeah, so we have Deathcamp here. First song on the album. I mean, straight up just in your face, loud, over the top. He wants you to hear these instrumentals. And yeah, I mean, it's a good song from my perspective. You know, I was a little younger when this came out, so my perspective of like just the loud music, and you know, I was all over it because I loved the in your face beats and the over exaggerative instrumentals. I really liked that at the time. It just spoke a lot. I feel like I just thought it was really cool and just a lot different from what we heard like commercially from music at that time, especially like 2015. There wasn't really much like this that was super popular, and like I said, I didn't have Spotify or anything at the time, so I was just very limited to the music I was able to listen to. And I might have had Spotify, but I think I had to pre-save these songs on the Apple Music, whatever it was at the time. So, go from Deathcamp straight into Buffalo, which the music video for Buffalo is very controversial for the time. Buffalo, very loud. Tyler talking about the Mountain Dew commercial he did and how there was problems with it because the people didn't like the direction he took it in. It's basically a big F you to them. A lot of different things going on in that song, a lot of different themes. But from there we get into Pilot with Sid from the Internet, also Odd Future member. Pilot's a pretty good song. It's very just, it's not so much in your face. Very loud drums, I will say. From there we get into Run, and Run is, I believe Run was one of the songs that he released for the Midnight Pre-Save. I could be wrong. This is 2015, so this is a while ago. But when I heard this, I was like, what is this album about to be like? Because what is the theme? I don't know. I couldn't really read it. Couldn't really read what was going on with this album or what it was going to end up being like. But I will say, I ended up liking Run overall later on. But when it first came out, it was just really hard to listen to because the instrumental, once again, was just so over the top. And I couldn't tell what was going on. The voices are pitched weird. But I did like the outro to that song. And if you listen to it, you know what I'm talking about. He just kind of says Run at the end. And it just kind of like fades. But from there we get into Find Your Wings, which this song is like kind of a whole different direction than what we previously just heard in the first 4 songs. This song is a very different switch. Find Your Wings is very laid back, really great instrumental on this, a really cool music video with this as well. Yeah, it's just an overall a really good song, very chill vocals. But then from there, we get into the self-titled Cherry Bomb song. And this album is, this song is just, you talk about in your face. It is so much in your face. You are definitely drowning in the instrumentals here. Almost can't make out what Tyler's saying at all. But, you know, it's just, when it came out, it's just really hard to tell what the theme was for this album, because you go from Run to Find Your Wings, then back to Cherry Bomb, and then now we get into Blow My Load, and this song is just a whole different direction from Cherry Bomb, or Run, or Buffalo, or Deathcamp. And so, once we get to Blow My Load, it's a very, like, chill song again, pretty chill. From there we get into Two-Seater, which Two-Seater is one of those songs that's just like, you know, it's going to be like an instant kind of classic from the album. The song's great. The direction throughout all of it is great. You know, people were talking about when it came out, the production levels and the mastering and the vocals and everything. But I kind of thought in my head, it was like, this is kind of what Tyler like culminated on purpose. I think it's because of the time period that, you know, he kind of brought up this culture, this Odd Future culture, and everything around that was just it was just really crazy you know, it's for him to be growing up and creating their own culture in a way, for a lot of young, like, kids and teenagers and stuff. And I just feel like there's just so much going on in his life that this album, it kind of culminates that sound of just like so much noise around you and kind of drowning out yourself in a way. That's kind of what I took from it. And, you know, he's explained nowadays that it was kind of a going through puberty thing and late blooming kind of thing. But from there, you know, I will say Two-Seater again, just super great melody, great sonically, great sounding. But then from there we get into The Brown Stains, and this is another Schoolboy Q feature. This one much better than Run, in my opinion, as a Schoolboy Q feature. But yeah, kind of big, you know, big sounding again. But I'd say from kind of this like last third of the album, for the most part, is kind of different in the sense of it's very light with the instrumentals compared to vocals. You can almost hear what Tyler's saying on almost all of these songs much better than you could on the previous songs. It's not as drowned out. It's a lot better to understand, easier to understand. But yeah, that's a good Schoolboy Q feature. Exactly what you would expect from Schoolboy during this time. He's had albums since then, obviously, where he's kind of changed the direction of what he raps about. Very family oriented now and stuff with his daughter, excuse me. But yeah, back then it was just a little different. Now we have Fucking Young and Perfect, and I think these songs, when they came out, it was just a different era for Tyler. It was a very different sounding album, like I was mentioning earlier. Because when I heard this song, I thought it was awesome. I was like huge into SoundCloud back then too. And so there's an Austin Feinstein, I believe is how you pronounce his name, but an Austin Feinstein outro to this song. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but it just makes this song so good when you get that outro with it and it's not on the album. But I love that Tyler released it in a different format. But yeah, that song is it's great. The lyrics are really hard to listen to, especially like I was young at the time of this album coming out, so I didn't really care. But now being a little bit older, I'm more understanding of like if my parents heard this song and like what I was listening to, they're like, all right, what is this? Maybe don't listen to this, but you know, it's kind of the theme of the album. But the perfect part with, I believe, Kali Uchis, yeah, it's kind of a masterpiece, that kind of outro for the song. And Tyler notoriously makes his tracks, one of his tracks on every album have kind of two songs in it. We have Fucking Young and Perfect, and in this case, so number 11 we have Smuckers. And I feel like getting Lil Wayne and Kanye on a song together, especially over this beat, was just different. It was really good. I think when this song came out, this was probably the one that people liked the most. I'm looking through the Spotify plays right now, and it has the second most plays on the album. Yeah, the Lil Wayne feature on this is really good. The Kanye feature is, of course, great on this. And then Tyler just bars out. He just does his thing on this song, and he does it really well. It's a great song. Great beat. I thought it was awesome when it came out. I think it's awesome now. From there, we have Keep the O's with Pharrell in it. This is honestly probably, I don't know why, but it's probably my least favorite song on this album. It has like the least amount of plays I'm seeing here as well, second least amount. Just never hit for me. It is the only song I don't have saved on this album. But from there we get into Okage, California. This is such a good outro for this album. And I just feel like, you know, it's Tyler, so of course he's going to make this very like thematical album, as he always does. But I feel like, let's say you take some of the more R&B, like kind of not really soul tracks, but kind of soul tracks, the really laid back songs of this album, and you know he creates a couple more of those and puts those on an album, he could really have like a really nice sounding, I don't know if you necessarily call it like an R&B because he's still like rapping over it, but yeah, I don't know. I think you can make a really good album out of the soft ones, the very soft songs. But Okage, California is a great outro for this album. It kind of leaves us in a really good place with just the overall album ending here. I think this is a really good choice to put at the very end. But yeah, I don't really want to rate this purely because based off the fact that it's so nostalgic for me. I will look at it with kind of I don't really know what the wording is for it, but rose-tinted lenses or something like that. I'll look at it from a whole different perspective than someone would who's just not even really a big Tyler fan and just looking at this. I'd say if you're not a big Tyler fan and you weren't before this album came out, you're probably not going to like 95% of this album. You might like Smuckers if you like Kanye and you like Lil Wayne. Aside from that, though, yeah, I think I have to do a top 3 on here. And then an honorable mention, probably. So I'd say my top 3 songs off of Cherry Bomb would have to be Two-Seater. We're going to have to go with Smuckers. And I think we're going to have to go with Fucking Young and Perfect because that one's basically nostalgia because the music video and everything. And I just, during that time, I was like obsessed with, I was like, I need everything Tyler, the Creator. So I was just really involved with it. I got the Cherry Bomb CD when it came out, and there was only like 1,000 of them released. So yeah, those would be my top 3. My honorable mention would definitely have to be Deathcamp, just because music video, again, really cool. But sonically, I liked it. Even though his voice is kind of drowned out from the instrumentals, I still really liked it. But overall, I like this album a lot. And yeah, I'm going to do probably another video on this album just because how much it really means to me. But also on top of that, I'm going to do more Tyler albums. So if you're interested in hearing more Tyler albums in general, please subscribe to the podcast. If you're on Spotify, please follow. And we got a bunch of stuff coming out. I got some videos about Earl Sweatshirt coming out, more Tyler videos coming out. And of course, I'm going to stay tuned with some more new hip-hop news and things like that. Follow me on the TikTok, same name, GFM Podcast. And yeah, thank you guys for listening.